Alright guys, I just received this package. I'm at home. It was delivered to my workplace, and because it required a signature and I wasn't going to be home, so the easiest thing is to have it delivered there. So let's see what it is. Now, I'll get more into this when I get the price of what this cost, but it went from the United Kingdom to Woodland Hills Camera and Telescopes, and then to my workplace. So what I had, Woodland Hills just take the package as it came from the United Kingdom and just put that package inside of a box. So I'm not sure. I'll have to look at this. I'm not sure if Customs opened this or not. It doesn't appear to be opened from Customs. So let's gently, let's see here, let's gently, if we can, gently cut this. Well, they certainly had it wrapped. Now that's interesting. Let me see. The cap was loose. Oh, look at that. That's interesting. They weren't. Maybe, perhaps that loosened up from travel. I don't know. Alright, so there you have it. These items, and I'll go into more detail there, these were extra items, as were these caps. And I'll go into more about that too. So for those of you that are asking, what the hell is this? It is the nPAE 1.25 inch ruby turret. Now, for those of you that are wondering, what does nPAE stand for? It stands for Nottingham Precision Astro Engineering. And as I stated earlier, they are out of the United Kingdom. Here's their address. For those of you that are wondering how this was sent in this type of an arrangement, because it looks like it was not opened by customs, which I'm very happy with, which is one reason, and I'll get into that when I get into the pricing, but that was one of my fears, but because I'm very picky with other people opening stuff up that have no idea what optics are. So in any event, this is how it, as you see it, and the way that it was wrapped is the way it went. It came from the United Kingdom through customs in the US and then the Woodland Hills. This is what they call a foam box. They have a hard case, but I was going to provide my own case for it, a Pelican or something on that order. So, but this is what you'll get, if anybody's wondering, because I didn't see anything online that, I like to be very detailed, and so this is what they're calling a foam box. Okay, now to some I might be nitpicking, but I'm telling you, this is how I see things when I receive something. First off, this cap that came with it, and again, it's just a cap, but it's got like this cardboard, some kind of stuff on it, sticky stuff, okay? You can see that there. And also, I think it's cheap as hell cap. I assumed, and I ordered an extra one, and when I get into what I paid, I'll get into that. I thought this was going to be a nice cap that fit over it, which I'll definitely be replacing this. This is, in my opinion, garbage, okay? And again, some of you guys might think I'm being a little bit too critical, but it's my review. So, that's one thing that I'm seeing right. The other thing is you notice several caps that fell off. Absolutely no reason for that. I'm going to say that again. No reason for that. This is what it came in all the way from the UK to Woodland Hills. In my opinion, this foam should have encompassed the whole unit. Put it in a little bit bigger box, encompass this in the whole unit, maybe even put some kind of a cellophane over this just to keep everything intact. So that's just one thing that I see that I think they should do. And again, I will be sending the link to them for them to see. But with something this expensive, I expect it to be packaged a little bit better and a way better cap than that. Now here you can see a nick right here, okay, in the paint, in the aluminum, obviously from that cap rolling around. Okay, like I said earlier, had they put cellophane over this so that if something did get loose, because that could possibly be these got loose through shipping, okay, I'm not going to say it didn't, but if it did, these would all stay intact and you wouldn't get chips. Again, I'm damn picky, and when you pay this kind of money, you expect it to come to you. If I chip it, that's one thing, but coming from them, it should have been pristine. Here's another thing. On the cap, you've got a chip, okay, or a nick in the aluminum. You can feel it. And then over here, and obviously when I put this on, it's not in the proper orientation, and I don't, this could have been somewhere else, but I'm just showing you that this cap has a nick here and on the other side in the aluminum, and if we look here, a nasty nick right here. So I say this to hopefully the company does a hell of a lot better job, again in my opinion, of getting this thing packaged. Not real happy about that. Absolutely no reason for them caps to come loose like that. No reason at all. And let me reiterate, when I said no reason, sure they could come loose, but they should not have came off of the unit. They should have been maintained with just some simple cellophane. Next, I want to get into what I paid for what you see here. But first, I did, since I cannot call them, I did have questions. And so I emailed them. And I'm not going to go over all of it, but one of the more important ones I asked are, and I'll state it as, or I'll read it, are caps included for every eyepiece opening port? Meaning each one of these. Now the reason I asked that is I saw where you get one cap. And I didn't understand why you'd get one cap in 6 ports. Their answer back to me was simply, no, one dust cap is included in the box. So then I replied back, why only one cap? How do you keep dust off the units inside prior to selling it? What are you supposed to do when you put the unit in a case? No caps to protect from dust? I am very, very, very picky with my equipment. And the answer that they gave then was a full set of aluminum dust caps would add over 100, and I'm not sure what denomination that is, some symbol in front, to the price. And as it's designed to be in constant use, it just seemed a waste to include something that will end up in a spares box. The mirror has a peel-off transport cover. The foam box wraps the unit tightly, so there is limited airflow. Now, none of that made sense to me because, excuse me, as you'll see, when I put these eyepieces on, you're not going to leave this attached to a telescope all the time. You're going to want to take this off the telescope. You're going to buy a huge box that these eyepieces and turret are going to fit into. So, no, you're going to pull the eyepieces out. So, that answer just made absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. But, you know, excuse me, in my opinion, at the very least, provide cheap plastic caps all the way around. Just like the cheap cap that they supplied for the bottom. Just supply that for the 6 ports. And I think what they should also do is, as an option then, okay, because I don't mind spending money on a quality product. I have no problem at all. None. So give the customer cheap caps. Let them, you know, I want to know that my product is properly stored. And then offer them, because these really are nice caps. I really think these are excellently machined caps. They got that logo on there. Then say, hey, if you want nice aluminum caps, we offer them at whatever the price is. Let the customer decide. I would assume most customers would want a nice set of caps. So like I said, these are very nice. I'm really happy with these. So now let's look at the price. With what you see here, I paid $895 US. I texted a buddy of mine the link after I bought this. Then I called him on the phone and we were discussing it. And he said, oh yeah, he says, I see on Astromart they're $800. Well, for whatever reason, I had not been on Astromart for quite some time. And I did check, and it does show $800 shipped worldwide. So, what you can say is I paid $95 for the following. 5 aluminum caps, because you get one with it. So 5 aluminum caps, 1 extra plastic nose plug, and then I got 6 extra thumb screws, and then I got 6 extra flat point, what they call screws. These are like set screws. So that's what I got for $95. I elected to go through Woodland Hills, talk to Farrah. She was very helpful, and created the. I paid through them, and like I said, I was going to have it go from the company to from the United Kingdom to Woodland Hills, and then Woodland Hills send it to my workplace, because she had said something about customs, there might be charges. So I didn't want anything going on through work. So that's how I did it. Now, Woodland Hills charged me $19.27 shipping. Now, these stainless steel thumb screws are very nice. And as to thread size, in case you want to, if you end up buying something like this, want to provide something yourself, they will require an M4 by 0.7 pitch. And that's what that tip looks like. It's flat. Here you see one of the 6 extra set screws I bought, and I'll show you what those are used for. This also is the same thread, M4 by 0.7 pitch, and they have a flat bottom. And this is something I can get locally. I wasn't sure what they had, but I wanted to get them extra, so I did. And they don't provide an Allen wrench, which is no big deal for me because I've got hordes of them. And but if you don't have one, you will need a 2mm to use this. And the brand that I use exclusively is Bondus. So let's take a look at this unit. One of the questions that I had is, you need to know where the diagonal is situated. So I asked them and I said, hey, is it the logo, which I thought was machined in, which is just a sticker, and they said yes, that this logo designates, the top of this designates that this is the port that you would use. So now, if you rotated this, the port that would now be in use would be this one. And you're not going to be able to see it, but there's the diagonal down there. Now, you know what? I took the plug off the back and now you can see it so much easier. Now the nose piece is threaded for 1 1/4" filters. I have on here a red batter, and it screws on very nicely. No issues whatsoever. Nice and smooth. Now, one of the features that attracted me to this, amongst the others that I'd seen just reading about it, was these Parfocal Rings that allow you to take an eyepiece of the same brand, of the same series, different manufacturers, whether it's Teleview, Celestron, Meade, whoever, Batter. You could put the eyepieces in here and bring them all to one focus so that when you rotated this turret, especially if you're doing planetary, lunar, nights of good seeing, and you want to up that power, you could rotate this and the next eyepiece that was brought into position would be focused. So I thought that was an excellent design feature, and the way that works is simply they screw up or screw down, or they say you can take them off to accommodate. Now, as you would imagine, they have a very fine thread, which is what you want to give you those micro adjustments. While we've got that off, let's take a look at the mechanism, the brass ring that will compress so that when it pushes against the eyepiece, it's not just a flat point of the thumb screw, It's the brass that gives a much better contact area. Now I want to go back to this feature, but first I want to take a look at the eyepiece thing here. So let me take, let's see, which one do I have here? This is the 4.5mm Delos. Let me stick this in here, and to lock this down conventionally, you would just turn this thumb screw like that, and the eyepiece is locked into position. They offer another nice feature, which is why I got the extra set screws. If we turn this around, now this is loose, so if we turn this around, we see on each port where you would need the 2mm Allen wrench, you can use this feature. So if you're using it for, or even for yourself or your public use, and somebody might be touching something, turning something they shouldn't, this is a fail-safe. So this allows you to use this to hold the eyepiece in. So we've got the thumb screw loose. We tighten that down, and we've got an eyepiece that is secure from any mishap, including even the observer, because at night, you know, you never know. So I thought that was an excellent feature that was designed into this. Alright, I'm going to go back to the Parfocal ring. Now here's the issue that I'm seeing with it. There is no means of locking this ring. So let's get that eyepiece back. 4.5mm Delos. So now you've taken the time to adjust all your eyepieces. And what I was going to do was use a series, which I'll tell you about it later when you see it on the scope. What I was going to use on the at all times. Obviously, when I don't need them, I'll take them off for storage. But for observing, I have a list of what I'm going to use. And one of my thoughts actually was to have one of these open, so that I could put any kind of another eyepiece in there. And even if I have to refocus, it's no big deal. Whether it be a higher power, whatever, one of these was one of my thoughts that I was going to do too. So now let's say we've got this one. We're adjusting that Parfocal ring. Okay, we're bringing it up slowly because of the extra fine threads. So now we've got this adjusted. We're going to adjust all the other ones, and when we rotate to the next eyepiece, we won't have to do any focusing. One eyepiece focus will focus with them all. Excellent idea. Now, there's no lock on that. So now you adjust it, and then you tighten down like that. Okay, so great, your eyepiece is secured, whether from the front or the back. So now you want to take that eyepiece out, correct? So you take that off, pull out the eyepiece, you put this in a storage box, because I was going to get a Pelican case for it, and what happens? These things move. There's no means of locking them down. So I think that is a fail, not anticipating that. I think what they could have done quite easily is on the back side leave extra stock on here so that it has like a oh, I don't know what you'd call it, extra stock, so that it could be drilled and tapped for the same 4mm screw. Have enough room on it to where you put a brass plug in there, and then take the set screw and screw it in. So now once you have this adjusted, tighten the set screw, it gently pushes against a brass plug, and that will hold this adjustment. but this does not have that. So this was a feature that I wasn't even going to use. Once I got it and saw that, I thought, well, it's useless to me because I'm not going to go through the trouble of going through all these eyepieces, then have this possibly move on me when I put it in storage and put my caps on. There would be no way this is going to stay adjusted properly. So I think that was an oversight, something they didn't think about, which would be great if they incorporated that. Which brings me into another, I don't know if we want to call it issue or just something that they did not foresee. They should have some kind of a mark up here or on here showing a datum point. So you know, whether it's the symbol of this is machined in here, so that way you would know when you had this adjusted that, again, but I'm talking about if you take the eyepiece out. Of course, these rings rotate, so it doesn't matter. But if they ever came up with a different design, put a datum point on here somewhere to where the user would know that this is my starting point. So maybe they're going to want to put an eyepiece in here, knowing that if I rotate this to the left, I go lower in power. Rotate it to the right, it goes higher. But when you pull an eyepiece out and put it back in, you've got to have a starting point, so you know where to put that in, so you know which one of these is adjusted for that eyepiece. So that's just something else that would have been nice, along with something to tighten down these Parfocal rings. Now, another nice feature that they have built into this is if you ever had to get in here and clean it out, it could be a major cluster, right? How would you get in there? So in their design, you'll see these bolt heads there. Then we go 180 degrees on the other side, and we see them over here, but they're opposite. Here's the two on the right. Here's the two on the left. So we've got two that are in here and two that are in this half. And you can see the parting line here where it separates. So I thought that was an excellent feature in being able to access the diagonal mirror should it ever require any form of cleaning. So you ask, what size Allen wrench will I need? In this case, you need a 2.5 millimeter to access and take off those bolts. And no, for this review, I'm not going to be taking it apart. It'd be a waste of time. There's no reason to, so I'm not going to touch what isn't broke. But again, a great feature built into this. Something else that attracted me to this diagonal is the way they describe the actual material used in the diagonal and the coating of it. It's not aluminized. Very hard surfaces. So that was another thing. They used a aluminum that is very rigid, gives a great surface finish. So couple pluses when I saw the advertisement for this. Alright guys, you're probably wondering what's the purpose of what I'm going to be doing here next. You'll soon find out. So this is your standard 2-inch to 1.25" reducer that Astrophysics provides. And this eyepiece is a 17.3 millimeter Delos. You can put that in there and it tightens down fine. Now let's try the turret. Hard to get into there, but it does tighten down. Same eyepiece, guys. Next we have the batter click lock 2-inch to 1.25" reducer, which is what I like to use here all the time now. Same eyepiece is going to be used throughout this demonstration. So let's take that out. And let's put in the turret. Now I'm locked all the way over. Can't go any further. Tons of slop. You can see the side by side. Will not accept it. Next, guys, we have the William Optics Rotolock. Now, put on the turret. Well, I'll just do this. That's tight. Can't go any more than that. Next up, the Celestron twist lock. Let's save a little time. That's as tight as it'll go. Next is the Antares twist lock adapter. So as you might imagine, these twist locks allow for the self-centering of the eyepiece, whether it's the batter, whatever one I had, which is a nice feature. We're going to take and mic the barrel of the Teleview. We're going to mic the barrel of the turret and see what's going on, because obviously something is undersized that it's not fitting. The only one it will fit is this adapter. And what you're doing, especially if it's undersized the way it is and won't even fit in these, is you're just pushing it to one side, and then it's no longer going to be concentric to the optical plane. Alright, so I've got my micrometers on a home built stand that I made, and I'm using a 1-inch standard. These are 1 to 2 inch mics, and they're properly set. So here we have the 17.3 Delos that we used out at the telescope, and I'm getting 0.24720. Let me hit the hold button, and again, that's the barrel diameter, the OD of that barrel. Next, let's mic the turret. .22110. Let me hit that hold button. Now, to be clear, guys, like I said, and I neglected to say it when I did the clip of the dimensions, these are 1 to 2 inch. So you got to add 1 inch. So the dimensions would have been 1.24720 and 1.22110, because we're starting out at 1 inch that you see the standard set at here, and then anything after that that you see is 1 point whatever. So what did we just see here, guys? The Teleview, if we take a basic dimension, which is 1 inch 250, 1 1/4 inches, basic dimension, we saw that the Teleview was just shy of 3/1000 undersized. 0.0028. Now we look at the turret, and the previous clips showing it out at the telescope prove it, because I wouldn't have checked it if it would have fit good on any, on those other ones. The turret, we have a basic dimension of 1.250, again, 1 1/4 inch, and the turret came in at 0.0289 undersize from the basic dimension. So basically we'll give it 29 thousandths. Okay, 29 thousandths under the basic dimension. The difference between the teleview barrel and the turret barrel is 0.0261. So basically 26 thousandths smaller. The turret is 26 thousandths of an inch smaller than the barrel on the teleview eyepiece. Hence, this is why you saw it would not on those other the other adapters. They couldn't get tight enough. They're not made for that sloppy of a tolerance. The only one that it would work in would be the one that had the astrophysics had, but that's got a lock ring that pushes, and then it's going to throw it off center, or it's got that brass ring. So in any event, that's pretty sloppy in my opinion. I'm not sure what their tolerances are, but when it comes to this nose piece, it's not good at all. So let's look at the adapter from astrophysics, okay, with it unclamped. Okay, and what will happen is when you tighten it down, watch it shift. I'm going to push this all the way over to the right of the frame, and now when I tighten this down, it's going to push it over to the other side. So here's 180 degrees difference. You can see it tight up on that side and not on that side. Same thing, but with the teleview eyepiece. We can see there's hardly anything. Obviously there was just under that, we'll call it 3 thousandths. Well, I've got this in the house. I think the easiest way to put this on my telescope, because you've got the focuser in the way, and you've got this. So I think the easiest way is going to be to put this on first. Find a position where you can get in here. Hold it down. And tighten it down. Then put this unit onto the telescope. Also, while it's in the house where it's a little quieter, I do have my windows open today though because it's very nice out. Let's just see how the click stops, how they sound, how solid are they. Okay, I like the feel of it. They go in nice and positive. They come out of it, go in nice and smooth, no jerkiness. So I like that. So let's see what this looks like attached to the telescope. Something else, because one of my plans were maybe you only want to have 2 eyepieces or 3 in. You're definitely going to have to put them opposite each other or every 120 degrees because the weight, as you can see. So let's go 180 degrees. And obviously that works. So what we've got here is my Mach 2 equatorial mount, the 92mm stowaway, the latest version. And then I have obviously the turret. And as to eyepieces, I've got in increasing order, well, I should say increasing magnification, going to the right, 17.3. These are all the Delos televiews, 17.3, 12, 10, 8, 6, and 4.5. Now, what I wanted to do is have these eyepieces in such a way that as you rotate it, you either rotate from one side going, say, high magnification or lowest, then higher, 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 because if you're looking at something you want up, you're looking at a planet, lunar feature, I don't want to have to go say, well, I've got to balance these out. I've got a bigger eyepiece here, I need to go, you know, I want to be able to say, okay, let me go one higher. Okay, if the seeing's good, go up another one. And what we have here, though, is a hell of an imbalance. I mean, look at that. Now, in my opinion, this isn't tight enough. Those click stops, something just isn't right. Hardly clicks there. I'm not sure. Once you put weight on it, something's up. I don't know. Too many oddities for me here with this that I'm going to use it tonight. I want to look through it visually. I want to see how it performs. But I'm already thinking that I'm going to finish this review, upload the link to nPAE. If I said that right, I forget almost the acronym there. But in any event, I'll send it to the manufacturer, and I'm going to request that I get my money back. In fact, I want them to pay for it to go to Woodland Hills. Let Woodland Hills refund my money. They can do whatever they want. This thing just isn't, I don't know. You can see it here. It needs to be snugger. Once you put weight in here, there's just not enough holding it. I don't know if I just got a bad one or whatever happened, but this isn't worth a dang. This is useless. It should have a nice tight. Now they don't feel snug like they did when I showed it in the house. Once you put the weight on it, I don't know. Not impressed. Let's look at that play, or the looseness, I guess, of it once you have the eyepieces in there. I'm rocking it, and you can just feel where it will go to the next one. I mean, where it's just, now it's going to go out, and now it wants to go out. But right there, clicked in, it wants to, you can feel the ball, whatever it is, wants to come out there and there. And in the meantime, you've got all that play. Yeah, that's just not good. But when you take the unit out without any weight on it, you can see that play like I showed previously when I was in the house, but it's nice and snug, feels good. So when you put the weight of these on there, that they're just very sloppy. And even if it was evened out, just holding it, you can just see that it just changes. I don't know if there's an adjustment. Something just isn't right. Because these are the eyepieces I use. I'd either use Radians, Delights, or Delos in here. I don't have anything else. And the Delos are the ones that I use the most. 72 degree apparent field of view, great eye relief. These are the ones I want to use in here. Yep, I don't know what the deal is. Now obviously I have to balance this. You've got a lot of weight over here. You've got a small refractor, it's short. And so on this Dove 10 that I have, I had to move it almost, the back side almost to the center. It's still clamping on 2 clamps, but what you got to be careful of in this situation is it's going to hit the motor box, the gearbox. So the other 2 telescopes I would use this with would be my 130 GTX and my 175 f8. There you would not have a problem because I'd have the 130 on here. It'd be plenty far away, no issue. I'd have the 175 on my 1600, or even if I put it on here, that wouldn't be an issue. But but that's not the fault of this unit. It's heavy. You have to balance it. So that's just something that, you know, got to look out for when you're using a very short refractor. So I did get the opportunity last night to observe the 81% waxing gibbous moon, and it's an excellent feature when you are able to rotate from one eyepiece to another without having to pull them out. You have an almost instantaneous different view, different magnification. Really like that. I also used it this morning and did some planetary. The issue is, as I showed, and I was going to try to do something through the eyepiece, but with this camera I've got, you know, I'm just using this little small Nikon type camera. It wouldn't properly be able to show you the instability of, you know, when this turret isn't fully locked down into position, so it would be useless to even try it. But that is a major issue here. So for that reason, the unit that I received, I'm not sure if there's a problem with it, but it was a major fail. I mean, something's going on. I don't know. I do know that this is the first run that I was told by them, that this is their first run. Now, whether something got past QC, something's not right, I don't know. But I'm sure most of you would see, once looking at this video, that this would not be something you would want nor put up with.